Hello everyone, welcome back to Discovering Dawson's Creek here on It's a Wonderful Podcast. We're back after our little break from Dawson's Creek. It's exciting to be back. It's also a little bit poignant to be back because this is our first sort of big, deep one. I think we had the finale of season 4 after the passing of James Van Der Beek, if I remember correctly, on Discovering Dawson's Creek. But this, we're going back through another series here now, another season now, truly return for Discovering Dawson's Creek after the passing of James Van Der Beek, obviously. So there is something a little bit more emotional to be getting out of watching this show now, but it doesn't mean any decisions that Dawson Leary may make are any less annoying, does it, really? We must remember that. It can't just be favourable towards Dawson, the character, just because James is no longer with us.
And James would be the first to tell you Dawson was very obnoxious, so...
Yes, I feel like that's exactly where we're at the moment, starting season 5 of Dawson's Creek. It does feel very good to be back watching.
It does.
Watching Dawson's Creek, though, obviously we had Investigating It, Welcome to Derry as a little bit of a break for, in between seasons of Dawson's Creek, diving into Doctor Who is still there, alternating every week on a Monday here on It's a Wonderful Podcast with this show now. But it's very different now that we're into season 5. It's the most different a season has felt, a season beginning has felt, I think, because no longer are we in Cape Side. We're predominantly in Boston now, Dawson's Creek, the college years, as we are referring to it as. And it does feel to me like a little bit of a different style of show. I feel like, yes, you've got the same characters, but it wasn't I think what Dawson's Creek did really well was obviously making them, they were all high school people, high school students.
But
I don't think it ever quite felt like a school show. Like things can feel like high school shows, whether they are cast with whether the cast is of that age, the characters are of that age or not. If it is set in a school, it can feel like a high school show, or it doesn't have to be if they're doing something else entirely. And even though I think Dawson's Creek obviously was set quite a bit in Cape Side High, I don't think it ever quite felt like a high school show, because I just feel like what was going on was so outside, what was going on predominantly in the storylines was so outside of school for the most part in the first 4 seasons. There was a lot of educational talk, I think, in the last season, but how many classes did you ever truly sit in for any great length of time? Doesn't necessarily feel like that many over the course of 4 seasons.
Like immediately off the top of my head, I could maybe think of 4 really kind of impactful school moments out of the course of all these seasons. Of course there were more, but like just off the top of my head. So as somebody who's watched the show multiple times.
I would go the Principal Green stuff, Jack's coming out thing, which was kind of in class.
Pacey spitting in the teacher's face. The whole election with Andy and the class president thing.
But I don't know necessarily why I feel this way, but 2 episodes in, it feels like this is very much a college student show. And I don't necessarily know why that is. Maybe because we're outside of the familiarity of Cape Side, that I'm having to latch onto something else. And yeah, okay, all the characters are the same. There's a couple of new characters here as well, which is exciting. We'll obviously be getting into that. But something about the tone, something about the style just felt like it was purposely trying to focus on the fact that we're now in with college students as opposed to just young people.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and I'm interested in where that may go, I think. But do you agree with me that it does feel like a different bit of a shift? I know I said I think at the end of season 4, like that would make a decent enough finale to the whole show.
Exactly, leaving it there with Joey and Dawson. But yeah, I mean, as somebody who's watched the show many times, this college element does feel different. Our characters are kind of more spread out. The things that they're worried about don't seem incredibly petty and small. Things feel like they have a little bit more stakes. And I think there's a lot more self-awareness as these characters are kind of, easing into adulthood. So you can feel the maturity in the characters, even in just these first 2 episodes. So
I suppose that's what you're looking for, though. I'm not saying this change is a negative in any sense. I just think it's noticeable, and sure, I think it needs to change with the times. It can't have 6 seasons of being the same thing. I think sometimes I've tended to have little complaints about Dawson's Creek of doing the same thing 4 times, going back and forth and back and forth on certain characters' relationships, and I can't be doing with that. So I welcome this sort of shift in change, this maturity level that we've dialed up to a little bit, seemingly. Already, in 2 episodes of season 5.
I like that you feel the difference.
Do we want to get into the episodes properly, though? The binder itself is getting back out. This is very exciting. We have season 5, episode 1, The Bostonians, to start off with. I think, Jeannine, if we flick to the correct page in the encyclopedia, it is that binder.
All right. So episode 1, season 5, aired October 10th, 2001, The Bostonians. Dawson is a freshman film student in Los Angeles, while Joey starts college at an Ivy League university in Boston. Instead of focusing on the new lives they have worked a lifetime for, they find themselves distracted by the distance between them and their unsettling last kiss.
Do they now? Well, they do a little bit, I suppose. Don't they? I don't know quite which world to start in. I suppose it's probably a little bit easier to start in LA with Dawson because there's more people, there's more things going on in Boston. But I sort of like this. I like that Dawson's separated from them. Dawson doesn't like that Dawson is separated from everyone else, clearly. I don't know where he thought he might feel. But
I mean,
he made that decision to go over there. It seemed to be a very mature decision he made, the right choice that he made at the end of season 4 to go to USC to do film. We see him there. We see him go to the film studio. It's not quite clear which film studio it is. They don't exactly brandish a big, Paramount logo or anything like that. But he goes to the film studio. He's in and around the studio lot, these, highly strung sets.
Well, he's gotten an internship, so that's why he's there. It's separate from kind of him at USC. So we haven't seen him at school, but he was planning to go visit Joey in Boston for a couple days. But then he got this internship that he applied for to be an intern to this director. So we get to see him go in and start that internship.
Yeah, but this is what he wanted, though. This is what I mean. This is what he wanted. This is the vibe
environment he wanted to be in.
This is the environment he wanted to be in. And I like seeing him in that environment. There's a particular scene where he feels like he just kind of settles into a chair in the studio, and he just looks content and happy being around all this bustling chaos
Yeah.
of a film set. And that's nice. I think that's what we want for him, which is why it annoys me by the end of the second episode we've got to talk about today, that he decides, oh no, I don't actually want to do that anymore. What I actually want is to be in Boston. Why do you want to be in Boston, Joey? Oh,
Okay.
Joey. I said Joey. Why do you want to be in Boston? Dawson, comma Joey. That's why you want to be in Boston.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think it's a little bit more than that because
Is it? Is it though?
I mean, it's clear like he wanted to be on that lot. It's still something he's passionate about. I don't think he's thrown
Then
that
stay
by
there.
the wayside. Um You're just so ready to just crucify him.
But just stay there though. It was good.
Yeah,
He
no,
enjoying it.
he gives so his first kind of task on this set is to give the director a script.
Yes.
And the director's immediately like, this is probably crap. Read it for me and let me know what you think. So Dawson immediately kind of excited that this guy is like trusting me to read this. And he's like, go sit in my director's chair, just read this and let me know when you're done. So that's the first task he gets. So he's very kind of hyped about this. So he reads the script, he gives his opinions. And it seems like things are going okay. Then he comes in again later and sees the director kind of yelling at people and having an attitude and complaining and easily getting frustrated. And Dawson kind of like messes something up, like he gets in the way of something. And so, or like, I think he drops some stuff.
Yeah.
And so the director already like in a mood, he yells at Dawson. And Dawson kind of mutters under his breath, screw you. So the director asks what he said. Dawson like doesn't say it first. The director kind of keeps going. And so Dawson says, you know what? I did say screw you. Like, look at you in this privileged position to get to do this awesome thing, this thing that I've dreamed of doing, and you're wasting it. How you're treating people. Like, this is a privilege and you are just totally taking it for granted. And that's such a sucky thing to do. So he ends up telling off this director in front of everybody.
Yes.
To the point where everyone
Dawson.
Yeah. But to the point where everyone's applauding
an adult man.
Yeah. But to the point where the whole crew and everybody on set is like applauding what Dawson says to this guy.
All of a sudden, he's become Spartacus, the leader of the rebellion.
So, I mean, if that's not passion for
which is passion,
the art of filmmaking, I don't know what is. So even though he's made kind of this decision at the end, it does feel like a temporary decision because he needs to kind of resolve this whole situation with Joey. So it feels temporary to me. Not really.
I think it was.
I mean, Joey opens that box back up again. So, and making it
she does. I'm not saying
again,
Joey's blameless.
Yeah. So I'm saying Joey opens that box again, making it yet again unresolved. So
yes,
it feels like this is something Dawson needs to do to just kind of get this relationship in a place where they both understand what it is and what it's going to look like in the foreseeable future before he can kind of delve into what he wants to do and separate himself. So this feels,
I understand. It feels, yes.
In how it ended, it did not feel like a permanent, I'm abandoning everything to be with Joey. It didn't feel like that to me. It felt like
we need to, going to take.
It felt like we need to, clearly we have some things to talk about. So I'm going to stay until we can talk about them and resolve them. Because that's kind of the last little bit they say. Like, if we don't talk about this, like, I don't know that like we can be in each other's lives and I don't want that to happen. Do you? No, I don't want that to happen either. Okay. then I'm going to stay and we're going to figure this out. So that's what it felt like to me. It didn't feel like a complete abandonment of all his hopes and dreams and really taking this time to see what his life looks like without Joey and without his friends. It felt like this is an important relationship. There's clearly some unfinished confusion, and this relationship is precious enough for me to want to figure this out, see what this looks like before I can really focus on my dream. So that's what it looked like to me.
I know, I understand that. I don't disagree. And I know we're kind of jumping back and forth. We're kind of talking about an entire character arc over the 2 episodes as opposed to something in the one singular episode here. But it's relevant and it's important to kind of talk about it this way, I think.
Yeah.
I understand. I don't disagree with that. But it's done as a show. It's just done something that clearly... I don't know why I'm still complaining about this sort of thing that the show is doing, because it's done it virtually every single, but it's done it virtually every single season. It's ended a season in one place, and I've gone, oh, okay, we can sit with this situation for a little while, and then immediately at the beginning of the next season, it's gone, oh no, we'll just go back to what we were doing and have the exact same character dynamics in a different way this time, as opposed to just leaving Dawson in LA for a full season and on us watching what he does there, us watching how he deals with new people there and everything like that there.
You don't know that he's not going to go back there. And
I don't know that he's not going to go back there. I don't. I'm just.
So I'm telling you right now,
a little bit that the show is just going to mash everything back together when it set up something interestingly different and shoved him off over there, and we can go and watch him deal with different people doing what he wants to do. How long is it going to take before he gets back there? Because it sounds like he wants to drop out of USC entirely. No more film for me. Just Boston. Just Joey. What are you going to do in Boston, Dawson? There's not exactly a thriving, booming film industry in Boston, is there? It's not like you're in New York, which would make a little bit more sense, because there is a thriving film industry in New York, obviously. But you don't hear many movies come out of Boston, do you? Really? Maybe set in Boston, sure, but are they made in Boston? Is the studios in Boston? No. So what are you doing here? You're just going to sit around?
And I think, if I remember correctly, that does kind of factor into his thinking. Like, what am I going to do here? So I can confidently tell you that everything I just said to you, me breaking it down and how I viewed this scenario, is kind of probably akin to what I remember. That, like, this is not where Dawson's story ends. Like, you will see him do the things that I think you want to see him do at some point.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, yes. Okay, that is good.
But I wholly understand your frustration at kind of feeling like an immediate backtracking of things.
Yeah.
So yes. But I do like that, the reason he does leave comes out of that passion, that frustration that somebody is not, living up to the privilege of the thing that he covets. And so that's what kind of forces him to go. So,
yes, I mean, it's Dawson being highly idealistic again, isn't it?
As usual.
It's as though, what did he expect? I mean, surely we know that highly strung film sets are going to be this, sometimes, most of the time, are going to be this sort of dynamic, this sort of tense environment. Everything's not always calm and beautiful and Spielberg all the time.
Exactly. But I think old Dawson, had he been in this scenario, which I think we have seen him be in scenarios like this before, and he really could not take any accountability. If Dawson had done what he did years ago, Dawson, and gotten fired, he would have been finding 10 billion ways to blame somebody else for it. But, this happens, he gets fired and he takes it on the chin. So it shows a bit of growth, I think. And it also establishes that this is still something he's passionate about in the same breath. So they find a way to make Dawson still love what he does to the point where it frustrates him seeing somebody abuse it, while also doing something that's kind of dumb, but taking responsibility for, like, yeah, I got fired because I said something stupid. It's nobody's fault, but really mine. But I'm glad that I said it, kind of a mentality.
I
So
suppose.
yeah, if you kind of think of Dawson from old, like, I don't know that he would have kind of the same more mature take on this situation. So
No, I would agree with that. I think that's fair. I don't, I believe that the maturity is there. I think the show
it
just
just feels like
can't have
backtracking.
them
Yeah,
apart.
no,
The
I get
show
that.
cannot have them with
I
any
mean, this
distance
was
between them.
I
And
mean, this is the
I
world they live
understand
in.
it because I know it's the
Yeah,
whole thing, and I understand it's the whole
teen
point of the
show
whole show.
mentality. Yeah.
I
Yes,
get it,
exactly.
but sometimes it's just a little bit more interesting to do something else with the two of
Yes.
them.
Yes. And I think, we felt very good about the resolution in Coda in the season finale of 4.
Yeah.
And it feels like a bit of backtracking. But on this rewatch for me, it was kind of like, well, I can see how they would feel this closure. But then we open immediately with somebody reading Joey's description of that moment. And so I think
Yes.
Joey having to sit and think about it and write it out and tell the tale of it is what spurs this uncertainty about it for her. In the moment, it
Yes.
felt resolved, but now that she actually has to write it out and think about it and think about what it means and think about how she feels about Dawson now, it's brought it up for her again to open that door and make her feel like maybe things are still kind of left in the air because our relationship now is weird. Like, I
Yeah.
still care about him. I miss him. I kind of want him here. I'm kind of not living this experience to my full potential because I'm still feeling some type of way about, you know, my status with him. And so I don't think it was something she had to think about until she was asked to kind of write a story, and her story was to really delve into this moment. And I think
Yeah.
her having to do that is what kind of opened that box again for her. So
The,
yeah, I don't think I saw it
the
that way. I think I was more like you on a kind of my first watch of just like, this again. But now that I kind of can, watch it again and refresh on it, it does feel like, yeah, this her having to write about it and explain it to somebody else and make it make sense to somebody else has realized, does this actually make sense to me?
I mean, look, the creative writing professor doesn't help the situation either by
No.
telling Joy that her story ends where it should begin. I mean, in the most
Yes.
stereotypical way possible, cliche
Yeah.
way possible, if you want to call it that. I mean, you understand it, don't you? But
Exactly.
okay.
So it makes her feel like there's something more to this, and so
Of
yeah,
course it
she
does.
that's when she starts
I,
to
I,
overthink because of him
I
saying that.
blame him.
Yeah,
Personally, I blame him. He seems
Professor
like
Wilder.
an
Yeah.
interesting character, an
Mhm.
interesting new character, admittedly. Professor Wilder, I think he's quite an interesting philosophy behind him, and
Mhm.
I'm interested to see how he influences things. But he influences this particular first event in the most annoying way possible, in Joey going, "Oh, wait, actually, am
But
I
there is
over
more
it? I
to
mean, you've
this.
been
Yeah.
thinking, am I over it? Am I under it? Am I behind it? Am I left of it? Am I right of it? Am I up from it? Am I down from it for 4 years, Joey?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Get
You
one's
let him make
mind
you think that
straight.
there's more to this story. Yeah, and so, yeah, the gates have been opened, and so now she's really starting to think about her relationship with Dawson, and she
Do you
really
know who else
maybe has
isn't helping? Actually, do you know who else isn't helping? Is Busy Phillips as the new character, college roommate Audrey, she's not helping
yeah.
either by being so over, like, let's have the college experience, let's go drinking, let's go partying, let's go and get every boy we can possibly get and bring them back to the dorm room for fun times. And this is
Well,
what
how is that
Audrey
not helping?
No, I'm saying that's not helping. No, that's not helping, because what that's doing is forcing Joey to realize that, oh, I don't actually want to do that. I might want to do that, but I can't do that because
of this
Dawson's
thing
out
with
there
Dawson
in
and
LA.
me.
Oh no. If Busy Phillips wasn't doing all that, she wouldn't be forced to think. I'm not blaming Audrey. Okay, Audrey's living her own life,
I
and this is great.
I think it's a stretch. I think Wilder is probably more to blame than Audrey.
He is, no,
if
definitely.
anything, I would say Audrey's attempts to get Joey to get out of her own head and do fun things is more helpful, at least helpful in effort, than telling Joey that there's more to her story that she thought she had closure on.
Now, I agree with that. I agree that Audrey believes she's being helpful in Joey getting over Dawson, but in trying to do that, all it's making Joey think is how much she doesn't want to do that because of Dawson. That's all that's doing. Like, if Audrey was a little bit calmer and was just like kind of a regular student who sometimes went out and sometimes did studying and was just a bit, less of a party girl, seemingly, that Joey wouldn't be thinking about how she's not being a party girl as much as she is. So,
okay.
And what does that mean? Dawson.
Yeah.
So I'm indirectly blaming Audrey. It's not Audrey's fault, but what she's doing is indirectly influencing.
Kind of like the opposite. Yeah, it's kind of the opposite spectrum of what Wilder has done.
But she looks like an interesting character, Audrey, as well, and I'm interested.
Yeah, and it's like, I love that these episodes kind of, paint her in this vapid light. Even Joey kind of sees her in this vapid light, and then we get this really great moment with her and Dawson in the second episode, where she shows far more substance than I think we were led to believe about her, and even Joey is kind of surprised by it as well. So Audrey ends up being kind of a really cool character that factors in a significant way going down the line. So which is also funny because it's like in the show she's very much kind of like linked to Joey, but then in real life her and Michelle Williams are like best friends. Like, she's literally the goddaughter to her daughter with Heath Ledger. So she's the godmother. Yeah, so they're literally like best friends. So it's funny that them two would connect in that way when she's kind of linked to Joey on the show. But I think a solid character there. Like, I like that she plays into kind of that college girl stereotype, and then immediately we kind of get something to refute that, even though she is still that, but she's also more, which I liked.
She's got depth to her, but she is somebody who's finding freedom in being in college and
exactly, and taking
she wants.
Exactly. So I liked getting to know her in this episode. But Joey, she kind of talks to the professor about her paper because she gets a C on it, and
Joey
can't handle it, and so he kind of clocks her as somebody who can't handle those things, and she's asking him like, what's wrong with it? I need to, what can I do to up the grade? And that's when he tells her, your story ends where it begins. So she has to kind of figure out this paper. But then on the same turn, she's like, oh, maybe I'm just going to drop this class entirely because I don't know what this guy's talking about. Like, why is he making me question my story? Why is he making me question this situation? And it's
the difference, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's gotten in her head to a degree where she's like now even contemplating just like dropping this class.
This is not high school anymore. This is college. This is university. You must think for yourself.
Exactly. And so she's thinking also, oh, well, Dawson's coming this weekend. She even tells the professor, well, he's coming this weekend, so maybe I can get the answers that I need.
Yeah.
But then Dawson ultimately calls her and says, oh, sorry, the internship I applied for, I got it, and it starts like today.
Yeah.
So he ends up not being able to come. So Joey ultimately decides, okay, I'm gonna try to like get out of my head a little bit and not think about this and try to free myself from the situation because it is kind of this crutch. So ultimately, Jack and Jen get invited to this frat party. They ask Audrey and Joey to come with, and
Jack and
a
Jen get
guy.
invited to this frat party because Jack fancies someone. That's why.
Well, Jack fancies everybody. It seems like he's
He
still with
kind of
Toby.
does, doesn't he?
We
He
mentioned, do
is.
you
You
hear
forget
about
he is
Toby?
mentioned. Toby is mentioned.
And
He is still with Toby. You wonder where Toby is. Mind you, Toby's in New York, isn't he? I forgot about that.
yeah, I
Is
think
Toby in
so.
New York? I think Toby's
No,
in
I
New
mean
York.
he was in Cape Side. He was
Oh, he
living in
was in
Cape
Cape
Side.
Side for. Oh no, he was
Yeah,
in
with his
Cape Side for.
parents.
Where's
So
Toby? Toby.
I don't.
Toby
He
should be
didn't go
there.
to. So maybe he went to school somewhere else. I don't know what
Yeah.
Toby's.
I think they do mention that there's a bit of obviously they're having to deal with a little bit of long
The long
distance. Jack
distance
and
is a
Toby.
struggle,
But
and Jack is
this
just like,
opens Jack the what's the gay equivalent of a womanizer? I've realised I don't know. But
a
that's what Jack's
Mennonizer.
turning into. A manonizer, isn't he? He's a man eater. He's
Yes, because he's like checking out all the guys, and Jen's like, "Hey, like, don't forget about Toby. I like him." And he's like, "Well, I
like,
can
oh
still
yeah.
look. I can still look. Yeah, oh, yeah, Toby. Sure, he's fine. But he's very much like, oh, I can still look." And then like a cute guy approaches them and says, "Hey, you guys want to come
Yes.
to this party?" Da 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 da. So they're like,
And Jack's going like, oh, big frat football player guy.
yeah, yes, he's very much attracted. So at this party, a guy hits on Joey and she kind of blows him off, and then that has her kind of in this realization, and she's been drinking a little bit too. So all of this kind of
Oh yes.
ideas and thoughts swirling in her head, she's realizing, yeah, I think I just need to let go of Dawson, because look, this perfectly nice guy talked to me from my class, and like I just blew him off because I have this hung up thing about me and Dawson. I'm using this relationship as kind of a crush, and I need to kind of move past it. Like, you're there and I'm here, and let's just kind of breathe and let me just let you go. Let me just let you go. So she calls and leaves him the message.
Let's get the Audrey mentality of
exactly.
Do whatever
live
we
the
want,
college
freedom.
experience. Yes. So she does call Dawson and leave him this message saying that she thinks they should just end it, where it is, and just let this weird undefined thing between them go.
Yes.
And so then cut to the next morning, walk of shame, but like she didn't do anything. She just comes the next morning. And as she's walking back to her dorm, because I think she was just kind of walking and thinking and, all that. So as she walks back to her dorm, the guy who was hitting on her, like, walks out of her dorm room. Audrey had slept with him. So she goes in her room and she's just like, okay, whatever. And then knock on the door. She answers the door and it's Dawson. So Dawson, ultimately, when he got fired from his internship, he's decided, I'm free. I don't have the internship, so I can come. So he surprises her. She's excited to see him, gives him a hug, and that's where the episode kind of ends with them. So we'll get into more of them in this story that continues in the next episode. But that's of where we introduce Joey and Dawson once again for season 5.
With Audrey being thrown in there, with Professor Wilder being thrown in there as kind of key new characters.
Mm-hmm.
Jen and Jack are as strong as ever as far as Jen and Jack's friendship go. They're always going to be fun, and it's exciting to see the two of them have to deal with it. We don't get too much depth into how they're feeling in terms of their studies or classes.
No, none of that. It's more just like their love lives kind of situation. Like Jen is talking to him about, stop flirting so much, Toby. And Jack is like, you need to get out there. Like, you have not, the last person you kissed was me, and that doesn't count. So, and the last relationship you were in was Henry. So you really need to do something about this dry spell. We see that they're living
but you're obviously still living with Grams in a new house.
Grams bought a townhouse in Boston, and Jack and Jen live there with her. So we don't really get anything academic. We just kind of get Jack razzing Jen about her really crappy love life and trying to get her out there. So at this party, she does, I think a couple guys have approached her and they were obnoxious, so she kind of blew them off. And then here comes Chad Michael Murray with the crazy spiky hair, which that's not a good look for him. But
very 2001 hair.
Yes, which is funny. Like, he's on Dawson's Creek and then like would go on for One Tree Hill, and I'm like, why did I never watch One Tree Hill? It's literally like Dawson's Creek adjacent, and I totally just whip. So maybe I may start it just
maybe because it came a bit after, and maybe even you.
And I was just ingratiated into Dawson's, and I was not looking to take on new shows or so. I don't know. So it's something maybe people are like, if you like Dawson's, you should watch One Tree Hill. So maybe at some point I'll just kind of throw it on as like a old show to kind of just watch and
maybe.
So yeah, Chad Michael Murray walks up to her and she thinks he's going to hit on her. So she's already telling him no. And he's like, no, what? Like he was literally just kind of getting a drink. But then they end up having like this kind of thoughtful little conversation, which he wasn't expecting. And so he kind of awes her with this kind of unexpected twist of events. Like he wasn't really hitting on her, but then he kind of finds something poignant to say to her. And they both kind of have a nice little spark and a vibe. So, she ends up getting kind of giggly and giddy as Jack walks up to her. And
indirect flirtation.
Yes. So Charlie is kind of the new crush for Jen. So a prospect for
Seemingly.
her. Yes. So yeah, I think that's kind of the major beats of this first episode.
It's definitely the major beats of this first episode. We do get a little Pacey, in the sense of he obviously was gallivanting on the open seas.
And being like a deckhand for rich people.
Yes, in the Caribbean and wherever other such places. And now he's pretending to still be out on the sea while just being in Boston Harbor. And this is a little bit odd, I feel, from Pacey. I'm not quite sure why. I understand that he wants to obviously have the distance.
No, but like if you think about how he ended his season, he didn't graduate with his classmates. He got his thing and like bounced. So I can understand the weirdness of kind of seeing them, especially Joey again. So it's just easier for him to kind of, wait until he's ready. So yeah, he's finished his kind of last deckhand job and now he's docked in Boston. And I think he's like living on the houseboat of the daughter of one of these rich people that he's kind of started seeing. And so that's kind of where he is. And the only one who knows that he's there is Jen. So they kind of have a conversation about him and they're like, I wonder what Pacey's doing. I wonder where he is. And Jen kind of plays along. Oh, well, maybe he's here and we just don't know. I'm like, no, I don't think he's here. And Joey kind of
Bora Bora, which is like obviously the other side of the Pacific.
Yes. And Joey basically kind of just says, I just want him to be happy kind of thing. I just hope he's happy wherever he is. And then we go see Jen visit Pacey.
Like he could be anywhere. He could be.
Well, I mean,
if he just wants to be, be docked somewhere. And
I mean, a place with a harbor. I think it makes sense if, like,
but he could be in Miami. There. He could be in Maryland.
Well, it just depends on
somewhere. Not directly next door to everybody else.
I mean, things work out that way sometimes.
They do work out that way.
He just finished the deckhand job, and that's what happened. So he's in Boston, but like he's not telling anybody he's there, except Jen knows. So Jen goes to see him and tells him, everybody would be happy to see you. Like, come on. And Doug knows as well.
Yes. Dougie comes around.
Yeah. So I think, it makes sense to me why he is maybe hesitant taking his time to kind of reveal himself.
Oh, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Again, this might just be a situation of, well, Pacey left to be separate from everybody, so please let's have Pacey be separate from everybody.
But I mean, he still is.
No, he still is. He still is. No, theoretically, yes, he still is.
But do you really want to just see him bobbing around on a boat, like?
Like the adventures of Pacey on the open sea. Why not?
Mopping and doing boat stuff.
Pirates of the Caribbean starring Pacey Witter. Why not?
Yeah, on a yacht. I don't think yachts are very Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, I'm just saying, it could happen.
Yeah, I don't know that would be very interesting. I know you would be watching that and saying it's boring, but now you're saying,
why
I think that could be fun. Because you just want everybody to be separated for something different. Pacey traveling the world as a deckhand. I don't think he's doing anything particularly exciting. So,
look, Antigua. Let's go and explore the beaches of Antigua. Look, Cuba. Look, Jamaica. Various other Caribbean places. Trinidad. Look, all these nice, interesting places that Pacey could
just
go.
watch his canceled show, Dr. Odyssey, and you'll see him do all of that. So, and it wasn't particularly exciting, but he was very handsome on that show. Yeah, like I think he's separate enough for what the show is trying to do. Like we need our characters to still be together despite being apart. Like you have to kind of understand that to some degree that's kind of what people want of these characters. But I appreciate
I suppose I'm just wondering when he obviously
is going to
reveal himself. When's he going to smack himself into the lives?
Yeah, and I think it's still going to be different because he's not going to college with all of them, so he's of trying to carve his own path. So it's not going to be, even if he does and comes to them and says, "Hey," it's still going to be a different energy, I think. But Doug does kind of suggest to him, "Hey, well, since you're not, you don't have anybody to work for right now, why don't you work for my friend? He's a chef. You can make a little bit of money, learn a new skill, whatever." So he's doing me a favor. So Pacey's very kind of hesitant. No, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't know anything about cooking. I'm a deckhand. I'll just wait for the next rich guy to come along and work for him. But Doug kind of bugs him about it. Like, come on, man. Like, just do it. Like, you're not doing anything right now. And so, Pacey ultimately decides to take that opportunity. But he's only doing it because Doug is making him. And so he's kind of obnoxious about it. But
But Doug's been a bit helpful. Dougie's softened a lot, hasn't he?
Yes.
As a character.
Yes. I love that relationship has kind of shifted in a really cool way. The Doug and Pacey
I think it's probably because Doug realizes obviously Pacey's no longer a child, and he's actively,
kind of trying to make a name for himself, trying to do something for himself. He's not this slacker person that like everyone kind of wrote him off as. And he's seen Pacey through some really hard stuff.
Yes, Pacey wants to actively be working on boats now, but while there's nobody doing the boat work, like, okay, I, as a brother, can help you out with this guy that I know who has this little restaurant. So go and, maybe go and work there for a bit before the next boat thing that you actually want to do.
And this guy seems really cool. He seems, and I think Doug suggested it because this guy seems very similar to Pacey. Like their attitudes, their kind of coolness,
you get more of him in the second episode as well.
Yeah, they're kind of playful, dynamic, and kind of jokey and that kind of thing. So I like where our characters are. You seem like you have a little bit of, issues or contention a little bit with feeling like it's backtracking a little bit. Okay.
Issues is genuinely way too strong a word. It's always the same seemingly the same concern that I've had for the past, from what I can recall, at least 2 season beginnings where I kind of wanted to, or the season would have ended in a certain way, and I would have wanted that situation to be sat in for a while. And then it's just
before we kind of revisit it again. Yeah. So that's kind of your
what I enjoy. Yeah, it's constantly my kind of biggest thing. But what I do enjoy is that actively this is feeling very different because it has to, because we're set somewhere totally new. we're set, it's a totally different environment. The whole education aspect of it
Yeah,
is
the
totally
circumstances are
different.
different. Yeah. There's new
And
characters
that
kind
is,
of
there's new
working in.
characters.
Yeah.
And that is exciting. That is good. That is enjoyable. Which surely you would think opens the possibility up for more varied storylines and dynamics and everything else. But no, we're focused on the same things again.
Fair.
That we've
Fair
been
criticism.
focused on for 4 seasons.
Fair criticism.
You know?
So, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, no, I
it's
get
not
it.
an
I
issue.
get it.
I still enjoy the show. I'm always going to enjoy
They
the
haven't
show.
lost you. Yeah. Okay.
Never.
Good.
I don't
So,
think so.
yeah.
We'll give a bit of a synopsis though for get the binder back out for episode
Yes.
2 of season 5, Jeannine. Even though we've talked a little bit about some of the things that do happen within this episode already, but it's
revisiting
the lost
movie
weekend.
title. Yes, revisiting movie titles again.
Yes, not to be confused with the
Rayma Land alcoholic movie.
Alcoholic movie, yes, exactly.
Yes. All right. The Lost Weekend aired October 17th, 2001. Pacey gets a job at a bar and meets an attractive Hispanic waitress named Karen. Although Karen has a very non-friendly boyfriend, that doesn't stop Pacey from feeling attracted to her. Dawson arrives to visit Joey and is misled by Audrey when she decides to set her sights on him herself. Jen's compassion gets her to help Charlie and be on the college radio station.
Yes. College radio station. I love it. I love the thought of college radio stations. I remember actually my college, and obviously the concept of college in Britain is different to what universally the word college means is university, isn't it? College in Britain is where you go from the ages of 16 to 18. And I remember there was a college radio station there, and it wasn't very good. And they got obviously the more media based students to go on it. I was on it a couple of times as like a co thing. It wasn't particularly great. It was a really weird situation. I find the concepts of college radio, and like you see it in. I feel like we definitely didn't really get this in school, but where they have like high school TV stations, all the news of the week, as hosted by some 14-year-old, and it's like, what's going on here? Like, why is this ridiculous cheap news production just being done on the screen at the student entrance? It's weird.
Yeah, like I've seen that in teen movies too. Like there's this Melissa Joan Hart movie, Drive Me Crazy. It had like it was like a huge thing, like their class news report that they would play and read the announcements before like every class or whatever. Yeah, I'm like,
I mean, it's useful, I suppose. Yeah. I'm kind of ragging on it, but I would kind of. I would like to see.
You saw that in Spider-Man,
but just better. Spider-Man, is a great example of it being done, but also it being done in a little bit of a silly degree, as it's done. In the Spider-Man,
like crappy green screen effects and stuff.
Yeah, and like. Know your limits, almost school news platform, college radio station.
But I mean, would you listen
on the college radio station of what Charlie and Jen are doing here?
Yeah, but I mean, would you listen to this? They're having a pretty interesting conversation, I think. Like, he picks some song and Jen kind of criticizes it and goes into like some more insightful thought about, what he's talking about and the music he's playing. So I mean, I think that their conversation kind of like if it was Charlie by himself and like the music he was playing, I don't know if I would listen. But once Jen got on there, like I'm like, okay, I kind of like what this. I'm digging what this girl is saying and how she's kind of putting him in his place a little bit. Like, and there's like a flirty vibe. And I kind of like this.
Oh, there is, yeah. Look, it takes a lot of skill to do a radio show. It's a different beast to a podcast or anything like that, isn't it? Because obviously these are recorded things that well, I suppose you can do live ones, can't you? But radio is live. It is often over a long amount of hours. Main radio shows are probably 3-4 hours long, aren't they, with one host,
Mhm.
and then it'll
Yeah.
switch over to somebody else. You have to be on it. It's a live production every time you go on. You have to be a very, very competent broadcaster to be a
Yeah.
a good radio host.
Yeah.
This has always been the case, and maybe obviously in today's world, radio is still listened to. I don't listen to the radio really, but it is
No, not
still
really.
listened to.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to listen to a discussion on a topic, they're going to put a podcast on, aren't they? Or they're going to watch a YouTube video, a long form YouTube video in the background.
Yeah,
And
'cause, like,
long form YouTube isn't, as big as it once was either.
yeah.
I don't think streaming is the closest you get to what kind of radio may have been now, and that's obviously streaming is a visual thing, but that's something that can last for 3,
Yeah.
4 more hours, and somebody has to keep an audience of a certain amount of 1,000 people engaged for
For
that
that
length of
long.
time.
Yeah, like, I can't remember the last time I, like, would listen to, like, morning radio on my way to work or my way to school, like, back in my 20s. So, yeah, I can't even remember just putting on, like, a morning radio broadcast or something,
Yeah,
like,
but there was a
yeah,
time when you would have done. There was a
before
time when
podcasts
I
were
would,
kind of a thing, yeah.
yeah, I would wake up for school and put, sort of Britain's equivalent to, say, Good Morning America on.
Yeah,
And that's a
mhm.
whole live breakfast news and
Yeah,
topical thing
situation.
broadcast
Yeah,
every day. Why am I
yes.
watching that? Because it's just something nice to have on. But I think the era of that sort of thing is dwindling
Kind of,
today.
yeah, and so that's why I think maybe in the context of this show, I think Jen being on there is probably more entertaining and feels like more of a podcast than just Charlie there playing
Yes.
crappy music. So,
Yes.
um, yeah, it's kind of a cute moment with Jen and Jack, and they're kind of wandering around town. And I love that, like, yeah, they wouldn't kind of really know their way around yet. So they
No.
determine that they're lost, and Jack gets a map out, and Jen's like, no, don't make us look like tourists. And then it's also like, oh, maps, oh my gosh. But
I like a map, though. I love a
I,
map.
I know, because you're literally 80 inside. So of course you love a map.
No, I mean, I'm not getting not like a physical big map, but like in city centers, towns, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if it's a place that requires a map, where doesn't require a map? New York. New York doesn't require a map. New York is the easiest place to get around in the entire world. It's the most straightforward city.
Yeah, pretty
A
much. Yeah.
child, if it wasn't a bit manic, which it obviously is, and
Yeah.
massively busy and crazy loud people all the time, a child could easily get round New York if just told to go from one place to another place. It's
Yeah.
numbered streets, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's so simple for the most part, obviously.
Yeah.
Stop hating on me. But Boston, I've been to Boston. It's built more like a British city in the sense that there's no grid in Boston. From what I can recall, it's all a bit crazy here, there, and everywhere. And you would need a
Okay.
map. But I
Yeah.
like seeing the maps that you get in city centres on big boards and think,
Okay.
you are here.
Yeah,
sort of
here and yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
find your way around. And I will have that, and I will go, right, yeah, we're going over there.
Yeah,
And
no,
I
I'm
know that, and
terrible.
I like that, and that's
I
what
have
Jack's
no
doing.
Yes, I have no sense of direction. So yes, like I didn't drive for a long time because I was always terrified I would just get lost in the middle of nowhere. So I didn't start feeling very comfortable with driving until like GPS was invented. And even then it
I hate using
it was
stuff.
called like a TomTom, like a
Yes.
GPS separate specific device. And even that was kind of like really hard to read. Like the one I had a small stupid screen, and like
Yeah, I remember
yeah.
TomToms.
Yes. So yeah, I did. Yeah, I was very much like lost. So, I would be screwed if I were them because, yeah, paper maps don't really help me either because, again, no sense of direction. But they don't need it because as soon as Jen turns around, she sees in the window Charlie hosting a radio show. And she gets nervous and she's like, yeah, but she's like, no, we need to get out of here. He's going to think I'm stalking him. And she's like, Jack's like, yeah, well, maybe you kind of were. You literally looked up all the Charlies like in the college directory or whatever. But he sees her and he's excited to see her and he tells her to come inside. So she ends up going in there and getting on the show. And they have this kind of cool little flirty energy happening between the two of them. So
Jen deserves this more, justice for Jen. Jen deserves some happiness. She's been cast aside for too long in this damn show.
Yes, so she needs to be. Yeah, but then she ultimately ends up sleeping with Charlie and then making kind of a big deal about it. She like jumps out of bed. She's like, I need to get out of here. Oh my gosh, it's a mistake. And Charlie's like, relax. Like, you don't need to leave. And I know what you're doing in your head right now. You're acting like this was a mistake and it wasn't a mistake. So he really tries to kind of fight her through her worst kind of judgments of herself in this situation. Because I think,
but Charlie doesn't know the past. Does he?
Yeah.
Charlie doesn't know much of the past.
No. And so
Jen is panicking at this point and going, oh God, please don't revert to that again.
Exactly. And so she immediately kind of has this like conflict and Charlie kind of talks her through it. So yeah, a promising little situation there with Charlie and Jen. We like this. And so then we kind of cut to just kind of letting us know that like Dawson's been there for a couple days and he's getting ready to go back. And he's hung out with everybody. So we haven't seen it. We just kind of cut that. Oh yeah, it's been a couple days. He's seen everybody, hung out, had a good time. It's his last day.
He's just going,
just hiding out with his little rich girl. Yeah, hiding out with his rich girl. And yeah, it's his last day, and Joey kind of feels bad because she has to try to go cancel this class because she does ultimately want to quit Professor Wilder's class, but she needs to have him sign like right. So she needs to have him sign a form in order for her to turn it into drop the class. But like his line is super long. It's made up of a ton of girls because, he's kind of a hot teacher guy that everybody wants or whatever. So she's having a hard time getting in with him to have him sign this paper. And she knows it's going to take her all day to do this. So she is like apologizing to Dawson, like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to leave you. And as she's kind of telling him this, he's calling his answering machine to check his messages.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I have a message from you from Friday. Did you call me on Friday? And she's like, oh, no. I was drunk. He's like, you sound drunk. And she's like, oh, yeah, I should probably delete that, drunken messages. And he's like, no, let me hear it. And she's trying to grab his phone away. She's kind of because she's realizing what it says.
Yes.
And she's realizing he hasn't heard it. Because ultimately, in the end, we learned that, like, she was happy just in general because she thought that he got her message and decided to come anyway. That like, despite her saying we need to end this, we need to just let each other go, he still said no and came anyway. And that meant more to her than her original concept of even calling him. So this is where she's learning, no, he never heard this message. And now she's like, oh shit, I don't want him to hear this message because, he's been here for 3 days or whatever. And now he's going to be thinking all kinds of crazy stuff. And ultimately now he's struggling with like, oh, so you have all these questions, like you want us to let each other go. Like, what does that even mean? What is the status of our relationship? We hung out for all these days and everything seemed great. And everything seemed like clear to me, like where we stood and what we wanted. And now you're just like all confused and wanting to let each other go. Like, this makes no sense. So now Dawson's kind of spiraling a little bit, but she has to go cancel this class. So she leaves and Audrey comes in and she's kind of flirty with Dawson. And she's like, well, hey, I can take you on the campus tour. They're kind of lame, but it might be fun, distraction, whatever. So Dawson goes with her on this tour. And I like that it's kind of this reveal that he thinks she's just taking him to like get in the group of the tour. And then it turns out, no, she's the tour guide of the tour. And like, no one ever does the tour. So it's just the two of them. And Joey also kind of having this bit of an aversion because she's like, Audrey just sleeps with everybody. Now she's trying to come after Dawson. Like, I don't think I like this kind of thing. And they're not friendly enough for her to feel like that there's some girl code kind of thing, right?
No. I would definitely do the tour. Not for Audrey, for the tour. It looks like an interesting place. I don't think it's quite clear which college they're at, but Ivy League College in Boston, is it?
Yes, the imaginary Worthington College. Yeah,
but it's not going to be the obvious one, is it? They're not that smart.
No, I don't think so. But a funny thing too that I think happened in the last episode when they were getting ready to go to the party. I love that, like, Audrey sees Jack and she's like, he's very hot, and he's like, I'm sorry, like, I'm gay. She like, does not believe it. She's like, she does not believe it. And he's like, yeah, I kissed both of these, and he like both of these girls, and he put his arm around both Joey and Jen. Is like, if these like goddesses weren't enough to change me, like, I'm sorry, Audrey, it's not gonna happen. So I like just that little kind of like little ping of like history to call back to.
Yes,
it's just like a funny little moment. But
Audrey's just going to try it on with everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
God knows what's going to happen when Audrey meets Pacey. Oh, I get the feeling this is going to be uncomfortable.
I'm not saying anything. Yeah, I'm not saying anything. But
that alludes to something that might actually be a storyline then, which is exciting, which is interesting.
I didn't say a word.
I may be predicting something, and I'm not mad about it.
Okay. So yeah, they're on this tour, and he's able to really kind of open up to her. She's very kind of light and bubbly, but she's also really easy to talk to, and she's like a good listener. So he's able to kind of tell her all of his insights about their relationship, and Audrey is kind of able to tell him what she knows about kind of the little bit Joey's told her about it. So yeah, I like that they have this moment together to kind of, Dawson has this kind of unbiased, kind of unconnected, who was not there for the whole history, that he could kind of lay this out to and explain it to, and have somebody really just hear him that doesn't have like any kind of skin in the game or worried about sides or anything like that.
The question is, does Joey want Audrey knowing all of this? No.
Right. I mean, she's told her enough, but it's like, I don't know that she knows that Audrey really pays attention, because I think she was like, oh, aren't you excited for your friend Dunstan to come? She calls him like Dunstan or something. Like, she's like, Dawson. But then like kind of at the end of the tour, and after they've kind of had this talk, she's like, so you want to make out? And he's like, yeah, let's do it, like joking. And he's like, well, why haven't, you tried anything? And she's like, well, I have a feeling like Joey still kind of really likes you. And like, I want Joey to like me. So I wouldn't do that to her, because I know, even though she denies it, even though she kind of makes this thing about like, you guys aren't officially together or anything, I know she wouldn't like it, and I don't want to kind of mess up our budding friendship. So I wouldn't do that to her. So Audrey, just establishing, that there's far more to her than I think Joey realizes at this point. That I like that she kind of defies the expectations of someone like her. Like, we're still leaving her to be that kind of stereotype of a college party girl, but there's far more to her. Like, she's a lot deeper than that. And I love that she has this sense of loyalty as well, to somebody who kind of is rude to her, and somebody who like they haven't really established a friendship yet. And somebody who kind of thinks of her only one way as well. So I like, Busy Phillips does a beautiful job in kind of really fleshing out Audrey kind of in just these 2 episodes. She is like, this is my moment to become a part of this group, to become a part of this like iconic foursome, whatever. So I need to kind of stake my claim on this situation and have the fans really kind of like me. And she establishes
really quickly.
Yeah, she does a great job of making us really kind of enjoy her character and think she could fit well with everybody and be a really kind of different energy than what we've gotten
very
so far.
Much so.
So
yeah,
I really like her.
We had Jack and Andy come in, obviously earlier on in the show, as new key characters within the group, and establish themselves reasonably quickly. Obviously, Andy had her run and is now no longer in the show. But may come back. I don't know. Will she come back again for another little flying visit like she did last season? Possibly. It could happen. She's a present person, but they establish themselves pretty quickly. I do think Audrey's doing a better job, or at least they are doing a better job with Audrey as a character in making her feel so ingratiated into kind of everybody and really kind of likable and interesting as a character.
Yeah, because
doubly quickly than they did with Jack and Andy.
Because I think them inviting her to that party in the last episode was, her getting us to see her dynamic with the group and them getting to know her as well and kind of bringing her, because Joey kind of didn't really want her to go or felt weird that she would want to go.
But you've got to have that close relationship, or even if it's not close, you've got to have a genial relationship with your college roommate in a US college, because it's so, you're sleeping in the same space. It is the same room. It's not like British universities where you can go into the student accommodation there and you will have separate bedrooms. You might live in the same flat, as it were, but you will have separate rooms for yourself within that space. You may even share a bathroom. You certainly will share a lounge space and a kitchen. But these, American colleges, you are, two beds are like next to each other or facing each other, or they're in the same space. So you can't be in contention with your college roommate all the time. It will just be a horrible experience.
Yeah, and I think it's like you're with this person for the next 4 years or whatever as well. So, so I like, the introduction of her, and I think Busy Phillips does a really great job. So, Dawson is able to kind of air everything out with her. And Joey's kind of been running around all day trying to get this thing signed. She goes and tries to wait in the line for Professor Wilder, but all these giddy girls are waiting in line, but she has to go try to drop this class. So she tries to find the professor, all these girls waiting in line to see him because he's the cute teacher. He jumps out of his window to escape them, and Joey spots him. And she asks him to drop the class. He's really questioning it, like, do you really want to do that? Like, you're really gifted. Like, I don't think you should drop it. He tries to talk her out of it, but ultimately she makes a big deal about it. And then when he agrees, it's that kind of situation where she's like, I kind of wanted him to convince me. I kind of wanted him to stop me. But the fact that
she was trying to reverse psychologize, and it didn't work.
Yeah, because she really kind of was like, you could tell there was like this underlying of like, I want him to talk me out of it. So when he agrees and signs it, she's kind of like, oh, I really wanted to do that. Like, she doesn't say that, but I think we're kind of supposed to get that sense. So then she ends up waiting in another super ridiculous long line to give the paperwork, the signed paper. And once she finally gets to the front of the line, they're like, this says Oscar Wilde. He's been dead for such and such years. So get somebody who's alive to sign it. So she realized Professor Wilder signed the wrong name or whatever, just to mess with her, because he knows that she's gifted and she shouldn't drop this class. So she finds him again and she tells him, like, why did you sign the wrong name? Can you please sign the right name? Like, I want to drop this class. And he's questioning her, and she kind of rushes to explain like the situation, because like it's going back to her story of her and Dawson and how they ended things. And she tries to like blurt out like, this whole scenario of what is transpiring, that she left this voice message and he heard it, and now he's confused, and now he's off with Audrey, who's kind of a mananizer herself.
Man-eater.
And he's like, that made no sense to me. So if you can write it out and make it make sense to me, then maybe I'll let you drop the class. So then he forces her to kind of sit and write it out.
The thing is, what it's actually all about is that Joey just can't take not being a phenomenal student.
Yes, exactly.
She can't take just being decent.
Yeah, but I mean, he's telling her she has promise. He says she's a writer. Like, it's in you. You just need to kind of get out of your own head.
What Joey wants is validation and a nice little A grade. That's
exactly. But he wants her to kind of live up to her potential and,
yes,
see that like you're telling the wrong parts of the story. You need to kind of figure out what your true story is, kind of thing. The lesson he's trying to give her. And so the fact
you
that he's
don't get
kind of
A
like,
grades in the real world, Joey. You get life
no.
lessons.
Yes, and this professor is also kind of very playful and cute and all this whole kind of thing. So there is kind of a dynamic that's like fun. Speaking of somebody else who's having a fun dynamic, as we kind of talked a little bit about Pacey going to see this guy that Doug suggested. And yeah, he does meet this waitress who works there, Karen, and they kind of have like a kind of sharp vibe with each other, spitting barbs kind of back and forth in a playful way. And yeah, he's like, I'm just here for my brother. Just tell my brother I stopped by, but this job is not for me. And he's like, are you sure? Like, you could learn a lot. And Pacey talks a little bit about what he saw the chef do on one of the yachts he was on. And he ultimately decides, okay, well, maybe I can train you. And like Pacey, has talked about, cleaning fish and being able to do that. And he can cut up vegetables and things. So yeah, he has a really cool vibe with this guy. They're very jokey with each other. They have very similar personalities. So Doug was kind of on the money with like knowing that they would vibe together.
Yeah.
He also does mention that like, he knows Doug because his wife has family in Cape Side. And so when he goes there, he'll tend to get a little drunk. His wife hates it and this whole kind of thing. So yeah, just like very cool guy that Pacey looks up to all of a sudden. So yeah, we're getting kind of like a nice little career shift for Pacey that could like be something more substantial and real. So we're really kind of liking that for him.
We do.
Yes.
The sailing could be a summer hobby.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think those are kind of the major things before we kind of wrap up with how Dawson and Joey resolve their whole little situation. Because nothing really, I don't think, happened with Jack. Yeah. Well, start to resolve. Nothing really happens with Jack. We talked about Jen sleeping with Charlie. Dawson and Audrey having a conversation,
as opposed to just him having
egging on Jen, being a cheerleader,
egging on Jen, and fancying the frat boy that he's. Will Jack join a fraternity? How will that go when they find out he's gay? Oh, that'll happen. That's going to happen, isn't it? That's just going to happen. I know that's going to happen, and there's going to be a whole big story about them being a bit uncomfortable that he's gay and him having to go through all that again, because we must have the gay characters go through more trauma, mustn't we? For God's sake, we can't just have them be happy.
I'm not saying anything.
I just feel like or it could go the other way, and the frat guys like are perfectly good with it and are fully supportive as they should be. But I just get the feeling this is 2001. That won't happen. And it'll be more like...
Jack has had some pretty unaccepting storylines through his whole run on the show. So yeah, I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
But yeah, so we can kind of conclude with this episode with Joey finally coming back to her dorm, asking Audrey, like, where is he? Because now she's kind of written it all out. Yeah. And Audrey's like, oh, he left. He's gone. He was just kind of tired of you not, keeping this relationship undefined and kind of, going back and forth on him. And so he left.
So am I, Audrey.
Yes.
That's why I like Audrey. Audrey's calling out the nonsense that I've been calling out for years.
Yeah. So she's like, yeah, we had a real conversation. He told me how he feels and that he feels kind of like you're just jerking him back and forth and all this whole kind of thing. And so Joey's like, well, where is he? And she's like, he's at the airport. Go talk to him. So she rushes to the airport. She goes to talk to him. He's about to leave, get on the plane. And she tells him, she's like, and that's when she explains to him, like, I thought you had heard my message and decided to come anyway. And that meant more to me than my confusion about this whole situation. That was clearer to me and kind of cleared up my confusion in that moment. And, I loved having you here. Like, I missed you, and it was nice that you were here. That's what I know. It's what I know for a fact, that I wanted you here. And Dawson's like, well, what does that mean? Like, are we good? Like, do you want me to stay? Do you want me to go? Like, because I feel like if we kind of continue going in the circle without really defining anything, then we're going to kind of just not be able to be in each other's lives. And is that what you want?
Yes.
Just like, no, it's not. And of course, long pause. Plane. Are you getting on the plane, sir? Getting on the plane, sir? Boarding.
Obviously.
And long.
And this
pause,
is clearly filmed before the September 11th attacks, because Joey's able to just go to the
Oh, no, it's after. Well, it aired. I guess maybe.
No, it airs after. It airs. It's filmed before.
October.
Because
October
why would they have thought that somebody who isn't getting on the plane could just sail through the airport?
Yes, and sit next to them in the gate. Like, that's not how that works. So yeah, she finally says, no, I don't want that to happen either. And so then he drops his bag. He tells them, no, I'm not getting on the plane, and they sit. And that's kind of where we end it. So he's going to stay there for a non-disclosed amount of time to potentially figure out what they are. And I think, based on the little picture I saw for the next synopsis, I think we're going to have a character really kind of be like you and in yelling at Dawson for this choice, if I remember right. So
good. Who is it? Who's going to do that? I wonder who's going to do that. I hope it's Jen. Because Jen's got... Is it Grams? It better be Grams, actually. I'd like it to be Grams. It's not Grams, is it?
You're missing the obvious one. But, yeah.
So they're in Boston. I don't know what's going on.
They don't have to be in Boston. But anyway, yeah.
Oh, it's his parent, Mitch. Mitch is going to be furious about the whole
I didn't read it. I just saw like the little picture on the synopsis was Mitch. So I'm like, is that what happens? I don't remember. I think Mitch is going to be like, dude, you made this big whole deal about this thing and you're just going to give it up. Like, what's wrong? And I feel like that's what happens.
Correct,
so
Mitch.
I'm kind of like in the weeds a little bit here in college years too, because I don't quite remember these seasons as much as I remember those early seasons. Okay. 1 through 4, I'm pretty solid, but 5 and 6, I'm like, oh yeah, like I kind of don't quite remember that well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, exciting to be back on Discovering Dawson's Creek, isn't it? Obviously, as we said earlier, this show is now obviously alternating with diving into Doctor Who here on a Monday. On It's a Wonderful Podcast. Obviously, Morgan Hasn't Seen is there every Wednesday as well, currently on its Alien Invasion series. And the main show, It's a Wonderful Podcast, celebrating old movies, obviously, as we love to do the most, is every Friday, chugging away with Paul Newman, going from strength to strength in wonderful movies that they have been this series over on the main show. Plenty of things to always get excited about on It's a Wonderful Podcast. Wherever you are watching or listening to today's episode, do subscribe, ding your notifications. If you are on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel, of course, you can see things scrolling down at the bottom of the screen. For the social medias, for the Patreon and donation links that you can find in the description, wherever you may be. But obviously, wherever you are, do leave your subscriptions and likes and shares and rate and review. Leave your comments on Spotify if you're over there. And what else? Yes, Patreon donation links in the description if you would like to support us in that way, or of course find us on and across all the social medias on the app formerly known as Twitter and on Blue Sky at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at the Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E and the, because Jeannine.
3 is a magic number.
On Instagram, TikTok and Blue Sky at the Purple Dawn. All your Boston things.
You can find me at Jeannine __ on Twitter, Jeannine on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. And if you want any merch for any of our shows, just check the description for the link or search G9 Design on tpublic.com.
And in your finest Bostonian, please, Jeannine.
Oh my God, no.
Nobody's doing that accent here, obviously, because nobody's actually from Boston.
No,
But they are all from
neither am I.
Which, like, I know Massachusetts is... Well, it's not the largest place in the US, is it? But there should be a little bit of a variety of accents. But I was expecting to hear a little bit more typical, harsh Boston.
Yeah, no, I can't do. And there's not even like the only one I can do is the cat and that thing. But none of those numbers are that.
No, they're not. They're not. It's a tough accent.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
That's almost more New York.
Bye. Why do you do this to me?